What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be learning about something called atmospheric perspective. It normally takes my kids about 5 one-hour classes to complete. In this project, we are going to be creating a landscape that has a foreground, a middle ground, and a background. So it's going to have an area that's very close to you, an area that's in the middle, and then an area that looks like it's very far away from you. We're going to use scale and overlapping for those things, which means things that are closest to the viewer are going to be the biggest. And they're also going to be covering up part of the things behind them that are going to get a little bit smaller. And then as you get further back, they're going to get even smaller than that. But we're going to use color to make our atmospheric perspective. The way that that works, I'll show some artworks right now. One of the kings of this was Bob Ross or any other great landscape painter. But also this is a common project that people do. There's a lot of really good examples of student work. The way that I think it's best to think about this is by deciding what kind of setting you're going to be putting your landscape in. Is it going to be a desert? Is it going to be the mountains? Is it going to be by the water with some trees growing around? That's a common Bob Ross one. Once you've decided that, it's going to be time to draw a sketch where you make sure that the things that are in the foreground, so the big things that are the closest to the viewer, have a lot of detail to them. As you get further back, you're going to have a little bit less detail, and as you get way in the back, you're going to have not very much detail at all. Monochromatic means one color. You're going to just use lighter and darker versions of the same color. It's a really easy way for me to see whether or not you understand the concept of using tints of the color or lighter versions of the same color to make things look like they're further away, and then using more saturated versions of the color when things look closer to you. Once we have that kind of laid out, I want you to practice with either colored pencils or watercolors. I suggest taking your lightest version of your color. We'll do a value scale, a monochromatic value scale, just so you can have a little reference to go off of. But I would suggest starting off by coloring everything in your whole picture that lightest color. Color the whole thing, paint the whole thing, cover it with the lightest color. That way you know you're never accidentally going to get lighter than that background color. You're going to get darker and darker as things get closer to people. Then once that dries, or once you're ready to move on with your colored pencils, you're going to add your middle ground in with a medium amount of details, and then you're going to color that a little bit darker than the stuff that's in the back. It's getting a little darker as it gets closer towards you. And then finally, you're going to come up with your design where you have some objects of interest. It might be a tree growing out. It might be a cactus. It might be a man on a cliff with his silhouette looking back into the distance. Whatever it happens to be, you are going to make sure that it has the most detail out of everything and that it is the darkest version of that color that you are going to put on your entire paper. Once you've completed that, you're done. If you want to bring yours up to the hashtag Art Squad level, make sure that you have a main focal point. Make sure everything, the viewer is obviously going to be looking at something in that foreground that is catching their interest, has the most detail, and fits well into the composition. You can see that it's the main thing that you look at, and then there's a clear path for your eye to travel through the rest of it. We're starting to get towards the point of the year where people start being tired of being in school, so let's try and refocus ourselves and give the best effort that we can on this. Remember that your effort is how you show respect to your teacher who spends all this time making lessons or spends all this time searching up resources to try and help you get inspired. Just please try your best. Thank you.